And welcome to the episode. We're going to talk about J Lo, Ben Affleck, Bennifer 2.0. And we're going to take a moment. We're going to chill. We're going to relax. I find it so interesting how fast people move, It's it seems as if the information just came out and people are like rushing to, oh my gosh, what was the ring? And was it the same ring? Or, oh no, it's green. It's her new favorite color. And is it going to work this time? Is it going to be an engagement that's going to be called off? So many opinions. And I'm just in my head, I'm like, slow down, everybody. Slow down. Take a beat. So for me, I didn't really jump into the melee, the excitement, the chatter, um, until I like took a moment and said, well, look at that. Look at that, Jenny. Jenny Lowe getting married once again. Um, Notoriously, I'm known for being a super big fan of J Lo, and I also was like, gosh, the news cycles are so funny that if you don't do it right away, the story has moved on. And I was like, no, I just want to talk about J Lo, Bennifer, the whole situation. I did do an episode on Pop Culture POV. That's popculturepov.com, just about the reunion. Reunion, the reunion that it was, them two getting back together. I had done an episode about that, which was kind of interesting, and I spoke to a lot of things at the time. I'm like, oh no, I wish if anyone she got back with, it would be Mark Anthony, because in my heart of hearts, it's always going to be J Lo and Mark Anthony. But nonetheless, this situation is specifically about J Lo and Ben Affleck, and I'm not going to put anything like negative on it. This is actually going to be very positive. But I'm just saying what I said in the last episode. I was like, oh, no, go back with Mark. But they have their good co-parenting situation, and J Lo has to be happy. That's number one. I wanted to talk about different perspectives though within this, and then I'll get to the engagement in a second. And I thank you for checking out the show. Actually, I'll put at the very top of the video here. If you want to support the Patreon, it is my Patreon, which is a paywall for the work that I do. Obviously, between the three channels that I have, there's a total of like 310 plus videos up there. And that's hashtag randomly with Ronnie Jr. You could see them all. I've been doing broadcasting since like 2002. So this is not like a new thing for me, but digital's tough and it's hard to get a following. So I do thank you for even supporting. But let's talk about J-Lo, because that's my girl. And what's interesting about her is I wanted to talk about a perspective as it relates to everybody. I don't necessarily, when I hear news like they're getting back together or anyone's getting back together, as long as it's not volatile and repetitive, I give it like, why can't it work? Especially in a situation like this, because it's been so many years, it's been a very, very long time. So in my head, I'm thinking like, well, they, you know, could have just been at different stages in their career and their lives, and it didn't necessarily make sense, and now it does. But then I was talking to one of my friends' fiancés, actually. Speaking of marriage and all that, was saying that J Lo reflected to her as being a little needy. And I says, "Oh, that's so funny. I never thought of it that way. I never thought of it as J Lo being needy as a form of her getting married and getting in another relationship. I always thought of it in a different way completely, as why, like, if you're out of a job, don't you apply for a job each and every day? You keep swinging the bat, so to speak. If you are at the junior high 8th grade dance and you're like trying to, shoot your shot, so to speak, and, ask a girl out or whatever, consensually and all that stuff, as a teenager, you just go back to your days of being a teenager. I was in my teens in the 90s, mid 90s, and you go and you do what you do. And if you get shot down, you try again. So if at first you don't succeed, you try again. So I'm giving all these examples of just having fortitude. And so for me, I always looked at it as like, nah, if anything, she's just like taking a bad situation, and she's, stepping in and saying, why don't I get a second chance at love? Her song Dance Again sort of alludes to that. You're going to get that second shot. And no matter what, this, that, or the other, we're going to dance again. I always really love that message. So anyways, I don't know if those examples exactly made sense, but I was saying throughout everything you do, if something goes and then it stops, do you just like quit forever? It's kind of like those people who get divorced late in life. Like, do they just, not late in life, but let's say you're, over 50 years old, 60 years old. Like some people, some 60-year-olds would be like, they're not gonna get under a warm body ever, again. Some are gonna be like, I still got plenty of miles on this old thing, and they try and they put themselves out there. And I think that's what I really love about J-Lo. Now, what I think about the two of them as a union, they're fine. I mean, I particularly don't really follow Ben Affleck's career, but he is, a major blockbuster entertainer. And it probably was, I said this on my other episode, it was probably a time in her life. At that time, she was still curating up to what she wanted to be. And she had to make certain moves that made sense, where it was the movie stuff had to kind of look like this. Couldn't look like this. She couldn't do necessarily El Cantante so close after Selena, but then her music had to have a pop influence, but then it had to have a hip hop influence. And later on with Mark Anthony, it had when she did her Spanish album, it had that influence, and everything mixed at the right time. I think what I've loved about J-Lo's last couple of relationships, be it Adam Rodriguez, she used to be with him years ago, actually. I think that's why he's in the music video of If You Had My Love. But Alex Rodriguez, Alex Rodriguez or Ben Affleck, or if this is the her knight in shining armor, then good. But I think the whole goal is, why not keep trying? You know what I mean? Why do we put so much pressure on ourselves to just be like, oh, it didn't work out and now I'm like an old maid? No, you got plenty of years out there. Go for it. Now on the complete opposite side, I never, ever, ever validate anybody necessarily by like, well, I have kids and I'm married, this, that, and the other. And it's like, well, have you seen how many unhappy married couples with kids, and they're really just trifling, frustrating situations. So I don't necessarily put anyone on a pedestal because marriage equates like a thing of success. I'm of a certain age, 41 years old, happily single, have a lot of fun, and it's good. So I necessarily am not saying for J-Lo, like, marriage means you're complete. No, complete could look different ways, especially her with her kids, her with her career, her with her adding so many different elements to her career so she could employ so many people. But I'm also kind of just going off the point when that friend's fiance had told me like, oh, she seems needy, and I was like, I don't see that at all. And I think the reason you would think maybe needy is maybe because if you do the metrics on your or all of us, our lives versus hers, her discipline is so intense. So wouldn't her dating be that intense as well? I mean, that's a good point. She doesn't drink really. I think only like the holidays or whatever, birthday. She's got a ridiculous fortitude, discipline, performs at the Super Bowl. So somebody with that much vision and ambition, they're probably not going to be like wishy-washy when it comes to dating. They're probably going to be like, okay, this really hurt. I broke up with such and such. Now it's time to move on. And so did any of us see Ben Affleck as the one? No, we didn't see that, but that's also good for her. And really, again, she probably is the career that she's attained. She's sometimes always something to somebody. Everything that she does, every door she walks in, she's the artist for the record label. She's, the television producer for the television network. She's the superstar for the fans. She's something for everybody. She probably doesn't have that much time even to be, the mother to her kids. I mean, she does. And I love her mother, Guadalupe. But I'm saying she's being pulled in all these different directions. There might be just a warm spot with Ben Affleck and like that familiarity. Like she might like being with him because it takes her to a place before, like, what do they say? More money, more problems, so to speak. So now that she has everything, it's good, but like there's a pure innocence of a normalcy. She was just coming out of being a normal gal, lots of good career moves, but like still where you could go shopping at the Beverly Center, and now she's in a situation where, she excelled so much that he might be a refreshing bit of energy from the last time that she could kind of do that. And so I think that's why it works. As for the romance part, I think all of it's great. I think she's it's a seeming to be a green engagement ring, seeming to be beautiful. A lot of people are doing the comparisons, the first one versus the second one, and I just say, go with it right now, and write your own story, write your own, whatever that new story is going to be, and whatever the 2022 version of this reunion is. Like, rock out and enjoy it. So again, just stopping on here for a very quick minute. I just wanted to of course say I'm a huge J-Lo fan. I always talk about her quite a bit, so I didn't want to not get around to doing an episode. So here's an episode. If you want to support the channel, J-Lo, Jenny, if you want to support the channel, it's patreon.com/randomlyRJ Jr. Did you know that J-Lo likes all of my programming? J-Lo has been known to really enjoy my work. So that should tell you, support the Patreon. And it's a paywall. It's a ton of great a bunch of additional content in the vibe of broadcasting. And I feel like a lot of the stuff that we put out on the YouTube and the podcast and all the other stuff and all the radio and television work I've done over the years, that's there. The Patreon is a little different because it's a little bit more intimate with the conversations, and it's a little bit more like how I navigate in this crazy career of doing it for so long, and it being such peaks and valleys. But I'm still here. I love what I do. I love Jenny Lowe. I've seen her perform twice already, Staples Center, along with Mark Anthony a ton of years ago, and then on her 50th birthday birthday tour in Madison Square Garden, the one where it was the blackout. So we actually had to go on Saturday night and Monday night. So essentially I saw J-Lo on stage 3 times. But I'll always like her. Her movies are great. I'm interested to see what's going to happen next with The Mother. Marry Me was cute. Obviously, if you could dismiss some of the cheesy stuff off the top, the music gets really good. And it feels like a J-Lo rom-com down the road. So go watch Marry Me, get in your feels. Maybe you should start getting back into your love thing too. And at this point, we're just going to celebrate Jenny Lowe, I like to call her. And that wraps up the episode. We will chat on the next one.
Hey, Ronnie Jr.